Hi guys, welcome back to class. In this session also we'll continue the arrays. We're done. Lab number 197 is done. 198 we have to do now. So the idea we have taken from 198 is we can't access the individual elements one by one, because when you have a large number of elements, 1,000 elements, we can't access one by one. It is a tough, right? Unnecessary code duplication. So how to use the arrays? So I'll start using arrays in a single line. So in this, what I'm doing, say size of some 5. I'm creating, in this statement, what I'm doing, creating an array, declaring an array, initializing an array. So default initializations happen. You find the length of an array. How to find a length? I'm declaring a variable n equals to arr dot length. Length is a variable. You can't write a method like this. Parentheses we should not write. Remember this. Parentheses we should not write. Length is a variable. So now what n contains? What n contains, guys? What n contains? 5. Length. Now, to access the elements, we can use a for loop. For, generally, I think when we studied the for loop, we started I equals to 1. I less than or equals to n. I plus plus. Like this I have taken. Error of I. So I we are replacing with respective values. Bracket required or not required? Bracket required or not required, guys? Block notation required or not required? Optional. We can keep a one statement only. Like this, we can give block notation, or because of one statement, even you can ignore also. So when you do this, what happens? See, initially I equals to 1. Check the condition I, that is the 1 less than or equals to n is the 5. 1 less than or equal to 5, true. True means enter in the body, error of I, error of 1. You are starting from error of 1. But in arrays we know that indexing starts from 0, right? Indexing starts from 0. Remember, whenever you access the arrays, always you start the counter from 0, I value from 0. Now, you take I0, then 0 less than or equals to 5, true. Error of 0, first element you are accessing. Next, I equals to 1, 1 less than or equals to 5, okay. Error of 1 you access. So, I always replace with the respective I value. I equals to 2, 2 less than or equals to 5, then error of 2. I equals to 3, 3 less than or equals to 5, true, then error of 3. I equals to 4, 4 less than or equals to 5 is a true, error of 4. I equals to 5, 5 less than or equals to 5, true, then error of 5. I equals to 6, 6 less than or equals to 5 is the false, then terminates. So this code is fine, or any changes on this? Is this fine? Any problem with this piece of code? See and tell me. So here there is a problem. How many blocks are allocated here, guys? Number of blocks allocated, 5 blocks only. Am I right? Indexing are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have a room numbers. Room number 0 is there. You are accessing. Room number 1, okay. Room number 2, okay. Index 3, okay. Index 4, okay. Do you have the index 5 in this? Do you have the index 5? Not there. You cannot use the index which is not there. When you try to use the index which is not there, it gives an exception called index out of bounds exception. Out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. Clearly means array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. We can't use that. So what I have to change to make the correction? when you start with the 0, don't use equals operator, guys. Up to less than you go. Up to less than you go. Then do the dry run again. Less than you can't use. When a less than I'm not using, up to this 4, okay. Whenever I come to 5 less than 5, 5 less than 5 is the false, terminate. So you won't do this. So how many times it is repeating? 0 to 4 only true. 5 times, 5 elements you're accessing. Remember this for notation for the arrays. Starts with 0, less than n, and if you want to use equals also you can use. But if you want to use equals, up to where you have to go, can I say n minus 1? Less than or equals to n minus 1. N is the 5. 5 minus 1, 4. I'm telling go up to 4. Before 5 or up to 4. Any word I can use? So up to 4 means n minus 1. Before 5 means less than n. Less than n. So currently I did not initialize any values in this. Default values, all zeros only there. 5 zeros will be displayed. So understand how to use the for loop for the arrays, guys. How to use a for loop for the arrays? Mostly we'll use for only. We won't use while and do while. Always arrays, for loop, standard, fix it, easy to access. 198, I'm compiling and running. All 5 zeros only. 199. Instead of integer, I'll take a double array. Double. So length maybe 5 or you take it 6, something extra I'm taking. What's the length I'm calculating? ER dot length is the 6 elements. And see the for loop same or any changes, guys? For loop same or any changes? Same, right? For loop remains the same. Because same array name I used here. So what it will display? Now it is a double. Double means it is initialized with 0.0, right? 0.05 times. Done. Next, 200. Again, back to integer array. New int of 5. Size 5 I am taking. You can find a length of this. First I am printing array elements. When I print array elements first, it will give all zeros, 5 zeros. Then I am initializing. See how to initialize? Error of 0 equals to say 10. Error of 1 equals to 20. 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 20, 30, 40, and 50. So I initialized 5 with the 5 different. First I created array, 5 blocks allocated, 5 blocks filled with 5 default values, 5 zeros. I'm printing it. Then I'm initializing the values. After initializing, again I'm printing that. See, printing code I'm repeating. Array access you will use many times. So same for loop, easily I'm using. This is the lab number 200, guys. So first all zeros, then we will print all whatever numbers you assign. 10, 20, 30, 40. Lab number 200. Initially, before initializing all zeros. After initializing, whatever you initialized, those values it is showing. Okay. Now, we are using a length variable, right? How length is coming up internally. We'll just try to explore this line again more clearly. And Some student has asked a question before the break. What is that? Who is that? Sujita, na? Sujita, can you ask the question again? So this is the one line where we are declaring an array, and where we are declaring an array and creating an array and assigning address to the array reference variables. Okay. Now, in this line, what is happening internally? I'll just write down the points also here. What is the first task in this? Can you tell? Number one, allocates memory for array reference variable. Okay, Sujita. When zeros will come, when null will come. So, Sujita, do you have a difference? Do you know the difference between primitive variables and reference variables? Do you know the difference between primitive variables and reference variables? Okay. Now, what is the reference variable name we have used here? What is the reference variable we used? ARR, right? ARR is a reference variable only, correct? How many bytes will be allocated? 8 bytes. What is the default value of reference variable, Sujita? It is null. Done. That's the first task done. Allocate memory for reference variable and initialize with null. First task is over. Number 2. Allocate 5 blocks, or you say n blocks depending the size. Currently 5 is there. 5 blocks of memory. Sujita, why the 5 blocks of memory we are allocating here? Allocate 5 blocks of memory for what? For storing 5 integer values. Integers means primitives or references. For storing 5 integer values. Integers are primitives or references? Integers are primitives. Very good. So 5 blocks allocate. So it will take one big room here. In this, the 5 blocks of memory. It allocates the 5 blocks of memory here. In these blocks, whether it is storing a primitives or references. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What is each block size? Each block size, guys, 4 bytes. Because it is a primitive. In a primitive, you will store a values or addresses. In a primitives, you will store values or addresses. In primitives, you will store a values. So, what is the default value of primitives? What is the default value of primitives? Sandhya, you are right. Primitive default values, we cannot fix, Sujita, 0. Reference variables, always the null. If it is a array reference variable or a string reference variable or your hello class reference variable or a customer class reference variable, any type of reference variable you have, a reference variable means 8 bytes, default is null. But a primitive's size of the primitive is not fixed. Double primitive 8 bytes, integer 4 bytes, floating point 4 bytes, byte 1 byte, short 2 bytes, char 2 bytes, like that. Defaults also depending on type. Boolean false, double 0.0, float 0.0f. This is the fundamental points we studied, correct? So now these 5 blocks allocated for storing integer numbers, means primitives, and this is for integers. So what is the integer default values? What it has to store here? It has to store zeros only, correct? Storing the zeros, initializing with zeros. So allocate 5 blocks of memory for storing 5 values and initialize with default values of array type. What is array type here? What is array type, guys? Integer type. So integer means zeros. Now suppose if I take a double array, now it will initialize with the double default values 0.0. Okay. After this, say this carefully. Number 3. Or initializes, this is I'll keep as a number 3. Wait. This has a initialize with the default values, all zeros. This is number 4. Allocates memory for length variable. Length is a variable. So it is allocating memory for length variable. Are you declaring a length variable? We are not declaring, right? Internally, they are declaring a length variable. Internally, they are declaring a length variable. Internally, remember guys, the length variable, they are declaring like this. Int length, they are declaring. Semicolon. Int length, they are declaring. Int length, they are declaring. And they declare this as a final also. I'll explore this again after some time. And they are initializing this with the initialize size of the array. What is size now? 5. They are doing like this internally. Now tell me how many bytes will be allocated for the length variable? 4 bytes only. Whatever you pass here guys, sorry, 5 it is. Let me do clean and 5 they are assigning here. See, whatever you pass the size here, the same they are assigning to the length here. Now I'll ask you one question. Suppose in the array creation, if I give 5.5, what happens? Tell me. I am asking new int of 5.5. What happens then? Whatever you specify the dimension here, array size here, that will be assigned internally to the length variable. Am I right? If I give 5.5, what happens? What it gives internally, it will try to get the 5.5, it will assign to the 5.5 to length only. But this is a double. Length is a variable declared inside as integer only. Internally, it is fixed. We can't change the length of variable, length variable type, fixed as int only. So, what dimension I can pass for the array? Your array dimension you are passing must be an integer. We can't pass anything other than integer. Understand? Okay, this is clear. Take out this. So it is now step number 4 completed. Step number 4 is allocating memory for a length variable, initializing this. And the last line is pending. Step number 5 is pending in this. What is step number 5? Can you tell? Array object address will be assigned to array reference variable. What's the address of this block? Say 500. It assigns this to the 500. So this is the steps happening, guys. Internally, this, when you execute this line, this is single line of statement. In this, the memory representation looks like this, 5 steps happening internally. So array declaration is clear. Array creation, all that internally, how length is coming. That's what you are seeing. See how to access length. You are calling, this is a length variable. This is a length variable. What's the size of this? 4 bytes. So that's what you're calling ARR dot. You are referring the length. And ARR of index 0, ARR of index 2, something like this. ARR, you're referring. So this internal representation is clear, guys. Can you go ahead for other labs now? Sujita, your doubt also clear, I think. Okay, let's start the labs now. More labs on these arrays. 201.java. Okay. Byte b equals to 5. I am passing b as parameter here. B as a parameter. And just printing tell me, is this fine? Code you see and tell me. So this is to play with the length variable, guys. Internally, it is allocating a memory for a length variable, right? And 4 bytes. And we know that length is of integer type, right? So whatever dimension you pass, the dimension will be assigned to the length variable. What's the dimension you are passing? B. So B you are assigning to byte to length, byte to, this is integer. So is that okay? Byte to integer, okay? Byte to integer, okay, guys? Why you taking this much of time? Yes. Then I am passing the short S. Yes. Maybe size I am taking 25. ARR dot length. I can't use ARR multiple times. Make this ARR 1, ARR 1. This is ARR 2, ARR 2. Is that okay? Short value can I take? Yes, you can. And if it is integer, definitely allowed, I think. Char, what about char, guys? Char CH equals to capital A. ARR3 is new int of CH. What's the length of this array 3? Tell me. Length of array 3. 65. Array 2, 25. So these integer allowed, guys. Length is integer, dimension is integer. When integer is there, all of its compatibles, integer compatibles means integer and lesser than integer, byte, short, char, these 4 only allowed as a dimension. There's a point I want to convey here. One more I'll take for an integer type. So integer means definitely you can take int a equals to, suppose 99 I am using. Here 4 is of A. So this is all okay. This program will compile and run successfully and gives the array 1 length is 5, array 2 length is 25, array 3 length is 65, array 4 length is 99. Whatever comes, it will display it. The point to catch in this, we can allow byte, short, char, integers as array dimensions, and it takes happily. Right? Okay. Negative cases we will take, means which are not allowed in this. Which are not allowed? 202. Can I take a long value? Long x equals to 1, 2, 3, L I am using. Can I pass x as a parameter here? It means you are assigning a long to integer. Am I right? You are assigning a long to integer. Next, float f equals to some 25f. Float I am passing here. Double D equals to 9D. Okay. Tell me what happens if I compile and run this program quickly. No answer. Incompatible ties, possible lossy conversion, right? 3 errors. 202 compile time errors you are expecting. 3 compatible errors. Long to integer. So length is integer only. From this, can we confirm internally length variable declaring as int only? Because of that, long assigning to int not allowed. Float to int compatible, double to int not allowed. Possible lossy conversion from this to that. Okay. And you can even pass the constant expressions 203.java, 203, maybe integer, okay. Int a equals to, suppose, 9 I am passing. This is fine. You can have kind of expressions also, guys. I mean, 2 plus 3, 15 plus 15 plus 16 by 2. Is this okay? Can I write an expression kind of thing here? This is a constant expression, am I right? Constant expression. So constant expression means your compiler will handle that. Compiler will do the translation of that. So this is also okay, guys. This compile and run successfully. There's possible cases of yes. 13, the expression evaluated. 13 came. 13 is the array size. Now 9 directly, I'm giving the 9 only. This array size is 9. This is 203. Now 204. What is the length dimension maximum minimum values? Array dimension maximum minimum values, guys. Array dimension maximum minimum values. New int of 214 underscore 74 underscore I am using for easy clarification 83 underscore 647. Can I do this, guys? What is this is 83,000, 74 lakhs, 214 crores. Now what is the array size coming up? 214 crores, 74 lakhs, 83,647 blocks has to be allocated into 4 bytes. Into 4, that much bytes of memory has to be allocated. Okay. This is fine, but I will do as, if I give as 8 here, if you give as 8, what happens? 4, 8. You see the code and tell me what happens. This is the program I given. Will it compile or not, or what happens? Out of range integer, Sujita's answer. What about others, guys? 204, right? Integer values are too large. So what is for array size? Any limit is there? The point in this, any limit for array size, or I can create unlimited array? Any size for array size? Any limit for array size? Yes. Array size has a limit. The maximum array size is the max of the integer. Integer max 214748364 is the maximum limit for an array. Beyond that, we can't create anything. Okay. And this you think and tell me? I think this is very easy, guys. -1. I am asking how many rooms you want to book, how many blocks you want to allocate. I am asking allocate me -1 blocks. When you want to book a room in hotel, will you say I want a -2 rooms, -5 rooms like that? So -1 is allowed or not allowed? -1 not allowed. But what we have to pass as a parameter here? Here I have to pass integer, right? I have to pass integer. Whether -1 is integer or not? -1 is integer or not? -1 is integer only. So compiler will not object, you guys. See this, compile this 205 first. Compilation passed. Compiler checking what is allowed here. In the array dimension box, what is allowed? You are writing array dimension. You are writing array dimension. Here what is allowed? Integer allowed. You are passing -1. So compiler checking what is allowed? Integer allowed. -1, yeah, integer only. So compiler test is passed. Now when you run the program, you are going to ask the JVM. JVM will see this. Oh, this developer is asking allocate -1 blocks. What I'll allocate? So then JVM will throw an exception at runtime saying, boss, you can't do this. Run this program. Negative array size. Exception called negative array size. When you try to create an array with the negative size, then it compiles, but at runtime it gives an error called negative array size exception. We can't do this. Is that clear? Next, one more tricky thing. 206. Can I create array with the size 0? 206. Can I create array with the size 0? This is okay, guys. This is allowed. This is allowed. 0 rooms will be allocated, means no blocks will be allocated. 206. It compiles and runs. The length is 0 only, right? What's the size? Length is 0. If you see the internal representation of this, it is going to create an array. ARR first reference variable. Okay. Now, in this, how many blocks will be allocated? How many blocks will be allocated, guys? How many blocks will be allocated? 0 blocks. 0 blocks. So no blocks. And the length variable gets memory. Its value is 0. This is how the memory representation of this. This is containing address of this box. In this, memory blocks not allocated. See, memory blocks not allocated. Like this, memory blocks not allocated. This is not allocated. No blocks. Only length variable allocated. Now, do you have any indexes? Any rooms allocated in this? No rooms allocated. If rooms not there, do you have a room numbers? No. Can I access any indexes now? Can I have any indexes? No indexes available on this. No indexes available on this. So this program you take purely This program, if I compile, what happens? I think it will compile and run successfully, gives the length as 0. Okay? 206 only, right? Yeah. Length as 0. Done. 207. Length 0. I am trying to print, please display the element at room number 0. Display the element at room number 0, I am asking. Display the element at room number 0. Do you have this? Do you have this? What happens now? This program. Array index out of bounds. Pawan is telling array index out of bounds. Pawan, is that exception will come at compile time or runtime? Exceptions always will come at runtime, remember. Runtime only. Compiler wise, it is okay. You are asking compiler, give me 0. Fine. Whether 0 room number is there or not, allocated or not, JVM only will see at runtime. So this program will compile. 207 will compile successfully. And at the runtime, you don't have the index 0, right? It gives array index out of bounds exception 0. Array index out of bounds 0. Now 208. Int ARR equals to null I am writing. This is a null array, right? This is a null array. And I am printing a length of this. Int ARR equals to null, printing ARR dot length. Int ARR null means what happens internally? Simply ARR contains the null value, correct? What happens when I call a null? You are trying to access a variable on the null reference. You are trying to access a variable on the null reference. I think I covered this sometime. When you do this, it gives the null pointer exception at runtime, right? ARR contains a null value. When you access any variable or a method on the null reference, ARR is a null reference here. When you access any member in the null reference, it will give you null pointer exception at runtime. 208 null pointer exception will come. These each exceptions we are getting at different places. You have to record. You should know the reason for all of this. When you access any member with a null reference, you will get null pointer exception at runtime. 209. I am saying ARR of 0. Now tell me. See 209 and tell me, guys. Null pointer or array index out of bounds? I want the reason for that. Index 0, 0 I am using index. So will it give null pointer or array index out of bounds? Previously we got array index out of bounds. Now it is null pointer. See how? See, previously we created array, right? Array is created like this. Say means hotel is there. This is a hotel. Hotel is there. I am asking, I want a room number 0. You are going to the hotel, checking the rooms. Room number 0 is there or not? Room number 0 not there. Then we got a null array index out of bounds. But currently, ARR contains null means hotel only not there. Then where I will go and check room number 0 is there or not? When hotel only not there, how can I decide whether room is 0 or room 5 is there or not? Right? So null reference, this also throws the null pointer exception. 209 also null pointer exception at runtime. So what exceptions we have seen as of now? Null point exception, array index outer bounds exception, negative array size exception. When negative array size is coming, that also you have to identify. Next, 210. I created array, guys, with the size 5. I am using it, length I printed. Now, I want to increase the size. I am changing arr dot length variable. I am changing 25. After that, I am printing the length. Simple, I think. So what I am thinking is this program will compile and run successfully, gives the output as initial length is 5. I am changing length to 25, so it prints 25. So output is 5 and 25 is my opinion. You tell me if you have anything. Yes, you remember the point I told you, right? I told you in the previous explanation, length variable is declared as a final variable, right? See whether it is really final or not. Cannot assign a value to the final variable length. Length is a final or not? Yes, by seeing this, you can understand final only. Length is integer only, final only. We proved that with examples. Length internally they are declaring as a final and integer. We can't change the length. Can I change array length? Can I change array length, guys? Just not possible. 211. I create an array like this, printing the length of that, and arr equals to now see this and tell me. Have you seen the code? What happens now? What I am changing here, can you identify what I am changing in this program? Which variable, what I am changing? We are redeclaring array, Pavani are recreating array. Same error means Bhargav, whether I am changing a length variable, you should be so clear on things. I'll ask you the questions you see. In this program, in the 4 lines of code, listen carefully and answer it. In these 4 lines of code, how many variables I am declaring, guys? How many variables I am declaring? In these 4 lines of code, how many variables I am declaring? Very good. What is the one variable? ARR reference variable I declared. One time I declared 8 bytes allocated. Okay. How many arrays I am creating? How many arrays I am creating? I am creating 2 arrays. Now ARR is your local variable, right? ARR is your local variable. If you want, I'll change the name of that also for easiness. My ARR is my variable I am declaring. Whether my ARR is a final variable or non-final variable. Then can I change the address of this? Yes, you can. So initially you're declaring my ARR, and then you're creating a new array of 5. You're creating array here with a 5 block size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Length variable you're declaring. Length you're giving as a 5. This object address you are assigning to this. Say 500, you are assigning to this. Then I am printing my ARR length. Length shows as a 5. After that, see what I am doing. I am creating a new array. I am creating a new array. I am not declaring a variable again. Creating a new array, new int of 25. It creates a new array with the 25 blocks size, and then the length is 25. It's creating a new array object. Brand new array object is created. And this newly created array object I am storing in my ARR. It means previously it has a 500. Previously it has a 500. Previous array is there. Now this is suppose 900 is my new array created with the size 25. I am assigning 900 to this. So this is pointing here. Contains the 900 now. See this, it is not pointing this. That is what happening. Now when I call my ARR length, which array you are having? My array address 900, I'll go. In this length is there, 25. It prints the length as 25. Is this clear? Any objection in these actions I have done? In these statements, any objection for you? All are okay, I think, right? Your array reference variable can be changed, guys. What cannot be changed is this array cannot be changed. Remember, this array created, right? This length variable you can't change. Already 5 blocks allocated. We can't increase these blocks. This object we can't touch. Only values you change. Here 0 is there. Change with 20. Here 0. Change with 30. Whatever. But the number of blocks you can't increase or you can't decrease. I am not changing any of that. I am constructing a new object. New, now again blocks, 25 blocks I am creating now. New length variable. This newly created array object I am storing in the my array. This program is okay. Are you is that clear, guys? What I am doing in this? 2, 1, 1. Compile it, run it. So it prints, I think, output as 525. Am I right? If you don't want to change the array also, you declare my array as a final. Can I do this? My array as a final. I am declaring my array as a final. My ARR is a reference variable of array. That also I am making as a final. Now, can I change the address? My ARR is a final now, which has a finder address. Can I change the finder address? Tell me now what happens. Now it gives the compile time error. You can't assign my, see, I am trying to create a new int of 25, new array creating, fine, but you can't assign to the my ARR because it is a final. If it is not final, so my ARR is your variable, you are declaring, your wish. If you want to change, don't declare as a final. If you don't want to change, declare as a final. It is in your hand. But length is a built-in variable. Internally, they have done as a final. We can't change that default behavior. Okay, guys? Next, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Byte sum B array equals to new byte of 5, guys. I created a array, byte array with the size 5. No problem. I think we can do that. Byte B, we have done it. Next, integer array I am declaring. Int ARR equals to, you can use A only otherwise. Int A equals to B. Then I am asking B dot length. Sorry, A dot length. In this program, how many arrays are there? Two arrays, byte array, integer array. Okay. Byte can be assigned to integer. Yes or no? We've done this many times. Suppose I have byte b equals to 10, and when I write int a equals to b, byte I am assigning to int, lower to higher, implicit casting, safe conversion happens, no trouble. But is this similar? Whatever I am doing in this program, is this similar? These two codes are similar or no? I have byte array assigned to integer array. Is this okay? Byte to integer, okay. Primitive to primitive, guys. This is byte array to integer array, you are doing it. Byte array to integer array, 2, 1, 2. What do you say? Byte primitive is compatible to integer, but byte array is not compatible to integer. See, byte array cannot be converted to integer array, guys. Strongly remember this. Byte array only. Can't be assigned to integer array. Byte, primitive byte can be assigned to primitive integer, but byte array is not compatible with integer array. Very important point. Remember that. Next. Point is clear? There is no logic standard. Next. I'm using int ARR1 equals to this. I think already I've shown you, but anyway. I'm printing ARR1. What it prints? Already I think we have seen that. It prints the two-string implementation, right? What's the two-string implementation format? I'll take a double related. Double ARR2 equals to. Can I do this? See this line and tell me. ARR2. In this program 213, are you finding any problems or everything fine? You see and tell me. Tell me, guys. Vrishali. See this. There are two types here, right? In the first case, this is integer array you're creating, assigning to integer reference variable, integer array reference variable only. Object type, reference variable type must be same. Here, integer array you're creating. What should be the reference variable then? You have to assign the reference variable integer only, right? Just now I told the point. Just now I told the point. According to that only. See now, integer array cannot be converted to double. Above you have seen byte array, not generally primitive means integer can be assigned to double, but integer array can't be assigned to double array. Byte array can't be assigned to integer array. Okay, this also should be double for us. Now tell me, are you seeing anything wrong in this piece of code? I think everything fine. You're printing a reference variable, array reference variable. When you print array reference variable, it won't print the addresses, it will print a string format. In the string format, it prints the bracket and the type of the array at hash code. Bracket I, integer array at hash code. Bracket D, double array, hash code. 213 done. 214 dot Java. Simple points. Integer ARR equals to new integer of 5. Okay, done. +1 I am doing. Say this 2 and 4, I think super easy. You answer it. This tells your processor speed, guys. How your processor loads the data from your brain. You studied some points, whether those you studied stored in your memory or not, your processor will read and tell that point to you or not. You have to revise now whatever points this question, to answer this question, whatever 100 points you learned or 200 points you learned from 200 labs, maybe more than that, every point you have to quickly search matching with this, where, which context, like. Tell me guys, what happens to this? Hari Shankar is telling as a bad operand types. What about others? What about others? Ramesh, error. Why Ramesh? Why is the error? Why is the error, Ramesh? Why error, Lakshmi? Why error, Srinivas? You are using a plus operator, guys. For a plus operator, what operands allowed? Plus operator, you are using array one side, one side. For this, what operands allowed? This is a number, integer. One is an integer. Okay, integer allowed, no problem. What is this? Array. Can you use array as an operand type for a plus operator? No, right? Hari is the right. Hari is the right. Bad operand. Bad operand, guys. Your processor is not loading fastly. You have to read, revise multiple times to master. Every point should be in your brain. Bad operands of type something for the binary operator. You can't do any operations on the array. 2 and 5. I have an array, ARR, printing it. We know what it prints, right? 2 and 5. Can I assign ARR equals to null value? You can do it or not, tell me. Can I assign null value like this? Tell me guys, yes or no? Why you are so silent? This is allowed, right? Yes, you can change the address. Previously assigned one address, so you are telling I don't want, so nullifying it. You can. So previously it has an object address. Later I assigned null. Yes, it can. Now I can't use the array because object is not there. Okay, guys, that's about some programs. We're done with arrays. Remaining arrays continuation we'll do in the next session. Thank you. Have a nice day.